to the show. This is The Force Always. My name is Diz, aka David Zamet. Let's get on with the show with the news, the views, the reviews, and interviews. So, making news this time around, the big headline. You ready for this? No news is good news. Not a single piece of news. All I can say is that we are eagerly anticipating another project that I have not really mentioned much about, which is Maul, the animation series for Disney Plus. It's coming April 6th, and that should be something to look forward as well this year for Star Wars fans. But yes, that's just that and The Mandalorian, which is May 22nd. Tickets have not gone on sale, just to let you know. I've been checking, especially Melbourne, Australia. Tickets are not on sale here yet for Mandalorian and Grogu. I would say very, very soon. They may do another possible spot for this. I really don't want any more information as we've got, because when Star Wars gives information, they really come thick and furious and fast towards the end. And yeah, so we're going to be waiting for tickets. That's pretty much the news. No other news. Let's get into views. Views is my story idea. Well, I say to you always, I accept the story for what it is, start to finish, because that's the story we've been given and that's how it is. It's still a great Star Wars, or War in Stars, adventure. Anyway, so my story idea this time is actually to do with the Darth Maul, or Maul, which is important for the people who don't know. Darth Maul is no longer Darth Maul, because he became a non-Sith and didn't turn to the good, but became a different type of warlord, which is actually a warlord. He was more of a bounty sort of warlord guy towards the end, and he was still evil, still hardened, but he did have a sort of good side. I think personally, in my story idea, now this would be really, really out there, but it could be done. So Darth Vader was technically the most evil thing ever in Hollywood history, technically. I mean, he's probably the greatest villain ever. And in Return of the Jedi, before we knew he was Anakin, back in the 80s and stuff like that, he turned good and he became blessed and became a Force ghost and was able to rest in peace. Now that was pretty intense. Could this ever happen to Darth Maul, or now we know as Maul? Well, I can tell you officially in the actual canon, he does actually die, not in the Maul series we're going to get. He dies in another animation series to the hands of Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a bit of a spoiler for you. But I reckon you could, in this series, portrayed as something that is not good. Not like how Boba Fett turned to a good Samaritan. I think he should just be sort of cleared, having a clearing and understanding that his reasoning behind being so strong with the Force in the beginning was actually about good, but he just fell to the depths of hell while living, and obviously towards the end went to hell in a Star Wars hell way. But I think it would be great to sort of see him in the beginning to becoming a desire to be a Jedi, or not a Jedi, but a Force user. Let's not say Jedi. Let's say a positive Force user. For the greater good. And then he got some setbacks, and he was mistreated, and that's where he ended up being so filled with rage and revenge. His really subtitle to Maul, or Darth Maul, is revenge. It was one of his first words he uttered in The Phantom Menace, and I think that's a really good sort of motto for him. But I would like to have seen him climbing to a positive Force-wielding something. Maybe not Jedi, but something that is like that. That's what my story idea is. I would love to see him have some sort of flashback of why he's so intense these days, and have a sort of a good beginning, but turn to bad. Anyway, so that is my story idea. let's get into my reviews. Reviews this time is something I've sort of touched on this before in another way. I actually got this. This is the only thing I got during the COVID times. The only thing I got sent out to me. It was so... I was so excited for this. I thought I'd never get it because COVID was very unpredictable, especially in my town, Melbourne. Melbourne, Australia, just to let you know, was the most locked down city in the world, to our, great leader here. But anyway, this here is what was available. This was the first lot of baby Yodas known at the time. And if you look really closely on this one, it's got the child. So I reckon anything with this baby Yoda, with the child or baby Yoda, more the child, will show that it is an original and will show that it was not revealed as yet as Grogu. If you get one of these and it says Grogu, it's a more, it's like the ones that came down the line. To me, this is super collectible because it's got the child on it. It was known as the child in the beginning. In fact, I think that was the name of the first particular episode in The Mandalorian and Grogu. I think that's what it was. But anyway, so this here I hold really, really close and valuable. I would give this 9 out of 10. The reason why I'm not going to give it a 10 is because for me, I've gone through, being in the 80s as a kid, Yoda was this sort of thing. He's really the top of the mantle. He's pretty much second. He's still very good. But I think Yoda is my type of character, personality, and I thought he was great. In fact, if there's any character I would say is my favorite character in Star Wars, it's Yoda. But that is just sort of saying something for the hell of saying something. I think all characters in Star Wars has something to say. I think they're great. So it's just the whole used future sort of thing with these, unusual aliens and droids and humans. But this here, 9 out of 10, super collectible if you ever see something with the child on it written. And so that was through the COVID times. Anyway, that is my review for this time. Let's get into interviews. Interviews is usually my questions on my last particular video that you may have sent me, questions or comments or anything like that. Please send them in. I would eagerly love to see what is happening out there. But anyway, Michael from Wherever South, which apparently I mentioned his name a lot, but he's sort of like a character that is here and not here. He's actually appeared on the show. But anyway, let's get into the questions. And Michael from Wherever South, which will be the last time I say this on this episode, for the hell of it, just to get right into it. Anyway, his questions and the comments this time around is Starfighter plot and setting set in the most sequel era, New Jedi Order era. The film follows a new original story rather than a continuation of the Skywalker saga. It is described as a standalone adventure focusing on a protected child dynamic, similar to The Mandalorian. Well, we can assume that it's going to be a protected child sort of thing. We don't know. We know nothing about this film. But yes, it's going to be. It's been said by the director, Sean Levy, it's a brand new Star Wars movie that is nothing to do with the sequels, nothing to do with the prequels, originals. No known characters will be in this. I think it will be a great fresh start. But the last time we had a fresh start, a really original film, it was The Last Jedi. That was like it or not, it was very original in its storytelling, approach, everything, even title. It was the only title that they've actually used this a Star Wars word twice in 2 films. Jedi, Return of the Jedi, and The Last Jedi. To me, that was an indication of what was to come. But anyway, I like The Last Jedi. I don't love The Last Jedi. I like it. But going back to Starfighter, I really want it to be original, but I really want it to be emotional. It just can't be slow. It's got to have a certain pace, and it's got to be just something we're familiar with that is original. And that's what I'm looking forward to with Starfighter. Anyway, let's get into the next question. I won't tell you from who because Anyway, the question is, how does it fit with The Mandalorian? Starfighter is the next major theatrical release after The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, leading to speculation about how they might overlap in their timeline. Well, there might be an overlapping, but they have said Starfighter is an original film. Get set for original, get set for brand new. That's all you need to be concerned with. That's the only story we've been given of what the story is about, so that's what we're going to be concentrating on. The next question, what is the Starfighter connection? While it is the title, it is unclear if the film will feature a specific iconic ship or if it focuses on a new class of starfighter pilots. I will say this, my sort of prediction is that I think Sean Levy, who is the director, is creating a start again type of approach to this whole Star Wars thing. Not to sort of erase anything from Star Wars, but just a start again approach. And I reckon Starfighter has a very similar way of saying Star Wars. So I think it's going to be Starfighter, but I think what he's going to add, and I said this as a prediction, and I must say prediction, I don't know, whether it comes true or not, I'm happy if it is not, but I reckon it's going to be Starfighter episode 10. That's what I reckon. That's going to be the 10th episode in the series, because the actual story is set 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker, and to create non-existence from non-existence from the previous, which is the Rise of Skywalker. Look, in the first film, you can get away with it, but it is going to be known 5 years down the track in the Star Wars timeline that big events happened just 5 years ago. But anyway, I reckon this is going to be episode 10. I think Starfighter is another way of saying Star Wars with a different wording. Using the word star, which is there, but fighter and wars is a very similar sort of style of word in a partial difference, but mainly the same. Anyway, so I think it's a start again, taking on the inspiration of where Star Wars really came from, but with a new sort of approach. Anyway, the next question, which is from, you just guess, the next question is, and this is the final question, is Starfighter a one-off? While it is designed as a standalone, there's potential for sequels if it performs well. I will tell you this right now. If this is a standalone, I will be absolutely amazed. Think of it. They're using Ryan Gosling, which would have cost a fortune. They're using Sean Levy, would cost a fortune. If this film is successful, they are going to continue it into the episodic saga. Whether this is episode 10, which I think it is, or not, they will definitely continue this storyline into the next story that is told, which could be episode 11 or the actual episode 10, we don't know, but they would definitely. I think the excitement amongst Star Wars fans that I know of right now for this film is pretty high, and I think I've got all faith that this is actually going to work at this stage. I've just seen some photos. I was there at Star Wars Celebration when they announced this. I was meters away from Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy it was just great. You could feel the energy in that room. And in fact, some of the people who don't like the Star Wars Celebration type of people, people who are against certain Star Wars fans or whatever, even they are sort of pretty excited to see what happens because it's brand new. They're sort of looking forward to see how brand new this is. And I just think it will definitely be, if it makes a lot of money, one thing that you need to do is capitalize on it, and that's what Hollywood will do. I think, but really the most essential part of telling a Star Wars story is the story. Let's take money to a side. You need to just stick with a plan of a story that is emotional, that has a certain pacing, and you will just have a great Star Wars film. It just, what we know, a great Star Wars film. It can be done. I believe in it. Anyway, so that is the show for this time around. Please subscribe to the channel The Force Always. I'm here 3-4 times a week with the news, the views, reviews and interviews. And send in your comments to my last particular video, which now this is the last particular video. I'm not using Instagram at the moment, or X or Twitter or TikTok or whatever. Just send it there and I'll see what I can do with the questions deemed appropriate to the channel. And that's pretty much it for this time around. Until next time, my friends, keep rocking.